Ladles and jelly spoons, burps and gurgles, welcome to it. I haven't said ladles and jelly spoons, burps and gurgles in years. I don't know where that intro came from, but anyway, yes, welcome to a Christmassy edition of Lost Man of Phandelver Session 8 recap. What's Christmassy about it? I don't know. Given that I've just sworn then, probably giving like that Mask of Serac, like that devil's face, like Santa hat or something. I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, yes, the session began on the 18th of December. Okay, the session started at 9 minutes past 6 and ended at 20 past 10. So we didn't do too bad, respecting the 4-hour time limit that we tend to set ourselves with our new DM. Speaking of whom, they had recapped, and while they were doing so, surely I had thought that Ellie, our new party member, the halfling rogue, might actually be the rat familiar, that we had to take some time to turn them back into a halfling. Unfortunately, while that was going on, though, Yano Albrecht escaped, and basically we've just been making our way through the Trisandar Manor. In the last session, we ended in the southeasternmost room with the cistern, some barrels, and a doorway that leads out into the manor gardens. So, our characters are just looking at this last cubbyhole, a room that we believe we might even find in Albrecht, we'll have to see. Ellie opens the door and she finds a statue against the northern wall. Now this statue is, and it was rather disturbing to me because this, because of the dynamic lighting, I was towards the south of the other room, and I was sort of like creeping nearer the door, and I was like, oh god, what's in there? It's horrible, it's horrible. And it's a hand. And it's a hand that has an outstretched hand that has blood on the palm running down it, as well as on the floor. While Ellie is taking the lead on this, I think Eliza, Emil and Shoria, in that order, were following behind her. She was checking for traps, and with an investigation check of 13 had found nada. Nothing out of the ordinary I've written here, except, the statue covered in blood. So, we all follow. Now, there is some writing on the floor, along with a skull, a jawless skull, so I was originally thinking that might be along the lines of Baal, god of murder, but I believe that's a jawed skull with blood drops around it. There is also curtains, red-brown cloaks, essentially, hanging off the walls next to the hand. On the floor, written in blood, I do believe, we find that because I speak Abyssal, the chaotic evil, the language of the chaotic evil demons, the words were, "May the Lord of Darkness reign in his tyranny and refuse his domination, begin his domination." I don't know what it says. I can't read my own writing. This is a great start, isn't it? Yeah. So that's what the writing says, and we're going to find out in a bit what all this means to us. Now, while I'm looking at this, and while Ellie's looking at the hand, Shoria and Ellie are looking at a book with a ritual dagger atop it. The book is open. Emil's looking through the crates and the barrels, and his divine sense pings. Divine sense being the paladin ability to detect undead celestials, devils, demons, fiends, all that manner of stuff. I believe fey creatures as well, I'm not sure. Now, he finds an aura of undeath, and just outside of his, the corner of his eye to the right of the room, behind some barrels, there is movement there. We don't quite know exactly what it was. It was too unclear, but there is movement that's moving between the barrels and the crates, sort of snaking through, clinging to the walls like a shadow. When all of a sudden it starts to rush towards Emil, and he readies his warhammer and his shield, and he says, "Halt!" This presence, whatever it is, obeys. It freezes, and it turns very briefly to Eliza, back to him, and then sort of snakes through the crates and the barrels again. But it keeps moving here and there, and eventually it starts to hit the wall again, splashing against the wall like a water balloon, but the black spectral, whatever it is, it's like a spectre of some sort, sort of slams into the wall with it, and then it goes again. It keeps moving around the crate and whatnot. It eventually looks to Eliza, and it's now making its way to her. And like it did with the wall, it smacks straight into her chest, and it seems to have gone. Wherever it is now, if it's not in Eliza, it's nowhere else. Now, because Emil says that he's getting an aura of undeath from this thing, he invites Garveld to have a look into this as well. Garveld burns a use of Eyes of the Grave, and I find that there is a very subtle blip of undead energy within Eliza. Emil's going to cast Lay on Hands to try and remove the affliction, so that's about 5 uses of, I think, the 10 that he has to neutralise the condition, but nothing seems to change. This blip is slowly but surely fading out, but hasn't really been affected by, but that's not a result of Lay on Hands. I unfortunately don't have a restoration spell yet. While this is going on, Shoria and Ellie are looking at this book, and atop it is a ritual dagger. Oh, sorry, no, it doesn't seem ritualistic, I do apologise. In this book are torn out pages. There's notes. There's notes in it. It's not quite a spell book. It almost looks alchemical or formulaic, as if someone is trying to experiment with this book in a certain way. There are arcane runes that Ellie can not really identify as such, but she knows that she recognises as a magic, as does Shoria, but they don't really recognise what schools of divinity schools of magic, be it divination, illusion, abjuration, conjuration. I think conjuration's a school. Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I was thinking of the Elder Scrolls schools of magic. Anyway, yeah, so but they're also seeing modifications to these runes as well, as if to try and make a spell, like Elminster and Big Me and other such people have done before. But yeah, they can't really find anything useful yet. The most that they can sort of guess is that this is perhaps a practice spellbook. It is a Fisher-Price spellbook. Now, I'm looking at the altar, quite disturbed at what's been happening with Eliza. I inspect the skull. It is jawless. It appears humanoid. I can't tell what race of humanoid it would be. Goblin, bugbear, orc, dwarf, human. I can't get a single thing out of it. With a religion check of a natural 23, I managed to gather, even though I was distracted by the sight of this spectral being, I had managed to recognise the altar and the ritual as one belonging to Bane, the Lord of Darkness who wants to achieve total domination. He's essentially a god of chaos and tyranny at the same time. So he's simultaneously lawful evil and chaotic evil. I don't know how that works. I remember Bane because I mentioned Abathor in one of the previous videos, and about how Emil might end up going on Abathor's path. Abathor is a exarch of Bane, so interesting. And I think Bane is one of the dead 3 as well. That's me as John rather than me as Garveld. I believe the other 2 dead 3 are Baal and Mirkul, the previous Lord of the Dead. I don't know. That might be interesting. There might be some sort of arc involved there. I don't know. We'll have to see. So the undead return to Eliza now. The undead figment of power or energy has seemed to have faded from her at this point. We can't detect it anymore. Whether it's left her, whether her body has entirely consumed it, or whether it has entirely consumed her, We are not too sure. The blood doesn't belong to the skull. The skull has been used for ritual purposes before, so whoever's done this has not done this on a whim. This is practiced ritual, and that there is the possibility of self-sacrifice here, or someone has attempted self-sacrifice. The skull has been long used, yeah, it's been used before, and the blood has been there for a while as well. A medicine check later on will reveal some more details about that. I tried to do a nature check on the spectre, but I don't know what it is. It is not, as far as I'm aware, a religious or arcane thing. It seems to be some sort of force of nature that I couldn't identify. Now, apparently this ritual is similar to one that Eliza, our wood elf, has seen, but the hand is different, and the writing is... Sorry, the hand was not there, and the writing was different. So, it does appear as though... There is, once again, the possibility that the Dead Three are involved in this somehow. Yeah. Ellie then suggests that Eliza stands in front of the statue to see if she can draw out this energy, and unfortunately, Ellie is overwhelmed. She is racked by fear and sudden sadness and yeah, just overwhelming grief. I throw one of the, I tear one of the cloaks from the wall, and Glassstaff is hidden behind it now. I take one of the cloaks from the wall and cover the skull with it, knowing that it's causing her this sort of pressure. Emil theorizes that this darkness that is now within her, quite literally, he mentions remembering that from the dream, and that he wonders if Eliza can perhaps call this darkness out. So Eliza wants to draw it out. She pokes her stomach. Our DM says nothing. Your stomach rumbles. You're hungry. Eliza tries to bring it out again through other means. Nothing happens. So Emil's now thinking, look, we need to see a cleric about this, and Garvelt's no use to us. Well, for this, but even then, yeah, not much else. Oh yes, standing in front of the statue now instead of just the skull. Oh no, sorry, standing to the side of the statue provides a sense of dread. And we're now trying to think of a way to perhaps pass this without getting Eliza nauseated. Ellie's looking at the book and nothing jumps out at her. With an Arcana check of 9, she identifies that one of the schools of magic in the book is illusion. But beyond that, can't really get much else out of it. It appears as though that the rune of illusion has been tried to be transformed in some way, but we don't know the end result. It may have succeeded, it may have failed, it may have sent that person to another plane, it may have turned them invisible for all we know. Shoria has a look, and they decide to look at it together, which I've already noted. I suggest, rather regretfully, that Agatha could provide some insight into this, perhaps. The altar's recently been used. The party wants to see the Sister Gorel. Upon saying that medicine check is my favourite, don't let me down, I get a 10. And I reveal that the blood on the altar is more than at least a week old. Ellie, with an investigation skill of 9, is looking around for any stuff belonging to the Black Spider. Unfortunately, she doesn't find anything there. On the altar is the word red on a piece of paper, and I must remember to put that in my journal as well. Yeah, word red on a piece of paper. Eliza asks if Ellie knows about anything about the Black Spider, and she calls him a tryhard. She has heard of him, or it, or whoever, and yes, she knows Ellie, being a halfling from a halfling tribe in the woods of Neverwinter, not far from Eliza, knows of him. He's like the boogeyman. basically a legend to keep the naughty children in bed. She did ask the party if we had our equivalent, and I was tempted to say that Garveld is the boogeyman of Underdungen, but still, no, it wasn't quite sharp enough then, I'm afraid. Yeah, so not much else is known, but anyway, everything that we know about him, we've now told to Ellie, so that's good. I decide then to smash this skull that seems to be threatening Ellie, and I take the remains in one of the cloaks wrapped up, and I decide to try and bury them somewhere. Eliza gets a narration from our DM and says that as Garvel smashes the skull, she feels passing relief. And knowing that that's how she felt, I use my Mason's tools to try, my understanding rather, in Mason's tools to try and understand what would be the best way to destroy the shrine. I attack it with my Warhammer, both hands. I get 11. Not great, not bad. But I do 9 damage, so 1d10 damage is not... Out of 1d10 damage, that's not too bad at all. As I strike it, the stonework starts to spider out and crack, and it appears as though that, with my knowledge, I could reveal that what this needs is a spike in the centre of it. Oh, I don't think I've got any more pictures of it. Yeah, it needs a spike in the centre, or a spear. Fortunately, Eliza provides one, and I hit the spear, completely destroying it, but with an attack of 21, I could have got advantage. I didn't need it. I do 8 damage to it, and the hand splits in 2 from the palm. Fingers break off, and the thumb breaks and crackles, crumbles rather, as it hits the floor. Eliza's now feeling a lot better about this. She is filled with a sense of joy, but more noticeable than that, the thing that's inside her feels a sense of joy. So now that we've sort of been done here, we take the book. I think we take the dagger or we leave it. I can't remember. I didn't write that down, unfortunately. The spear is broken. We're going to take the quickest way out, but just before we do, Eliza goes to the cistern to have a look at her reflection. And for a very brief moment, before the water ripples it away, there is a shadow looming over her, behind her. But it disappears as the fresh water is coming in. It's bright out, 9 to 10 o'clock in the morning. Eliza says the sun feels good, and I say I politely disagree. Oh, that's another thing as well. Yeah, I'm doing Garvel's voice properly this time. He's not quite supposed to sound like this. He was supposed to sound a bit more like this, like Harim from Pathfinder Kingmaker. Yes. So we find that people are walking around the streets of Phandelver. Things seem a bit more quieter. Things seem a bit more calm. Not quiet in a bad sense. More like there is a peace here at long last. People are finally able to get on with their lives. Carts are passing through. Horses are near. We see the first load of miners walking south as we get to the centre, dirty and rugged. To Sister Gorell, we travel. She's not at the shrine, so we go to her house. And she says that we're back already. And Emil mentions, without wasting any time whatsoever, that there is a shadowy apparition within Eliza, and that she needs help. She feels a moment. Oh yes, yeah. So she's relieved that the shrine of the Bane has been destroyed, but she now needs to see to Eliza. And she's sort of checking her eyes and things like that, and seeing her pupils, and immediately starts now heading to the to her cupboards and getting alchemy supplies and things like that. Mixing things. The process for it as well, I have to give our DM this. I wish I wrote it down, but the way she describes the alchemical process, like getting things like a cheese bag or something, like wringing out the ingredients and boiling things up, it was really good. Like, I want to play an alchemist, and I would never be able to flavour it as well as our DM has. So yeah, I have to say, I mean, in addition to all the other things, kudos for that. It was incredible. Yeah. So as this is going on as well, she also throws in. We managed to catch her throwing in a vial of holy water as well. Not good. In fact, you know what? I should have used my ceremony spell to bless the cistern, but it would have taken about I think it's like an hour and 10 minutes, so we didn't really have that time. Just bear with me. Yeah. So we talk about what happened while this is going on, and Eliza explains that she can feel the shadow within her. Shoria asks if it feels the shadow nearer, near, I think, new, I don't know. And Eliza isn't sure. Like, look at my notes. Like, I have to read through all that, okay? I have to report all that back to you. Okay, it's not little shorthand things. I don't know, no. And wait till we get to the later stuff. Anyway, yeah. So Shoria then says it's with you. You've brought it with you, with us. I think I'm a bit worried, really, I think perhaps for her own safety more than anything. I'm not sure. Or maybe it was just an observation. I don't know. Sister Gorel says it's a possession, but not the usual. And Ellie asks, "What's the usual case?" Yeah, I don't think we actually got an answer to that. So Emil says that we can find. Oh yes, right. Yeah. So Emil, thinking that Eliza might be a doppelganger or something like that, or she's completely possessed, Emil suggests that we can find out if Eliza is who she says she is if we place a gem somewhere, and she goes straight after it because of Eliza's I guess inherent greed. I say inherent greed, that's like assuming all wood elves are greedy. That's not quite true, is it? So Ellie then tries to persuade her with a valuable river rock and insists that it is of great value and that she should have it. Now Eliza isn't entirely sure why something valuable is given away. I must explain, I haven't made this clear enough, but she's very naive. She has lived in the woods most of her life, and she's only just starting to come into the city, so she's not entirely sure about the idea of gifts and things like that. So she's not entirely sure why something so valuable would just be handed to her. But still, never mind. We talk about the Nothic and the Dream. Sister Grell was pretty unsure that the Nothic is responsible for Eliza's current condition. She tries pressing a coin against Eliza's forehead and says, "May the smiling lady cast away who's within you," or words to undead. She basically casts Turn Undead, the Timora version. Eliza feels a scorching pain, and as well as a power reject the spell. And the coin is blasted across the other side of the room. And I suggest that you're supposed to put the coins in dead people's eyes. And she says that and the Sister Girl responds by saying that that's to help people send them on their way, and really keep them, or rather send them to the realm of the dead. And we want to send this one simply out of her body. Some words to those effect. I wish I wrote it down. Some really good stuff that I forgot to write down. So yeah, basically, whatever this is, it's simply too strong for Sister Gorel to cast out. And perhaps there is a good chance that it is not evil. It is undead, but it's not evil. We're also catching up now about other affairs as well. Emil rightly brings up that one of the Red Brands got away, and that if anyone who's been missing for a while suddenly comes back to town, maybe they are the Red Brand trying to not perhaps seek redemption as such, but perhaps trying to hide from the authorities. Sister Girl says she'll keep an eye on the missing red brand, per Emil's idea. Page 5. Emil asks the sister... oh yes, this is something else as well. Sister Gorel is a bit of a know-it-all, and we wanted to know if Sister Gorel had known of Ellie's arrival in Phandelver, because it's her business to know these things. And she recognises that she came here a few days ago, but didn't catch her name. Interesting. Ellie's a bit disappointed that this person who's supposed to know everything doesn't know who she is. So, but hey ho, I suppose that's safer in a way. Where are we now? Oh yes, and yes. Ellie has been told that that our Sister Gorel is something of a spy or a rogue. Ellie might want to learn how to spy from this woman. And Emil asks, does she know about the potato? And I wish I could do I wish I could have the comedic effect that that Ellie had here, but Sister Gorel asks, "What potato?" And Ellie says, "Well, you're supposed to know that. It's a little one, a big one, a russet." To which all burst out laughing because no one was expecting that last bit there. So well done. Ellie then climbs up Emil's shoulders to look down upon Sister Gorel, and I'm not sure if that was canon or not. I'll let Emil and Eliza decide that. Eliza's told to be careful, and we shall let Sister Gorel know when we have seen Agatha, the Banshee, Connieberry. Emil then brings up the subject of orcs as well, seeing as we're getting ready to leave. And the sign was apparently an old sign. It appears as though the orcs don't come near Phandelver, they don't threaten them. And really the most danger people find is that which they seek. Trouble doesn't come to Phandelver. People from Phandelver go to trouble and get into it quite easily. As Gundren Rockseeker and Sildar Hullwinter know all too well. I sort of the party is sort of deciding what our next move is going to be after we've had a rest. I say that Gundren's kind of on the back burner. Might actually quite literally be on a back burner as well at this stage, because we have left things a bit. Shoria reminds us of the orcs and the Big King as well. Yep. The orcs live in Wyvern Tor, one would assume. It is not a castle. We need Cragmore Castle. So we may need to find this Cragmore Castle instead of Wyvern Tor. Sister Gorel marks a few more locations on our maps. Eliza says, I want to meet a Banshee, and everyone else says something along the lines of, I don't. Apparently, one of the... Oh, yes, we have some potions identified by Sister Gorel as well. Shoria brings out the... I think it was Shoria. Brings out the invisibility potion, or at least... We've now revealed it's an invisibility potion, yes. It was a liquid that... It looks clear, like as clear as alcohol almost, but if you let it settle, it's like as if it's not even there at all. But once she shakes it about a bit like that, then you can sort of see the liquid sloshing within. And apparently the potion is invisibility. I hand over the ingredients that I collected, that I threatened to eat and drink. The vial of bile, how vile. Yes, got to do that one again. Mercury and powdered nightshade. Now these ingredients are apparently pretty rare, but no one in our party could use them. Come to think of it, Ellie Toscobble is proficient in poisonous tools, I believe. That might have been useful, but she says that she'll take them, and she's very grateful, so perhaps we might be able to turn that in for a favour later on. Then again, she did give us healing potions, so hopefully that'll make up for it. Shoria remembers the receipts of the red brands, the documents that had shown that he'd received some money, that the townmaster had received, Harbin Wester, had received for from the red brands. He was working with them, and that maybe he knows Glassstaff's whereabouts, or someone else might. Eliza wants to check on the Dendras. Emil wants to check on the Dendras, as do I. Shoria says we might want to apologise to the farmer who we spoke to about the chicken. And Emil says, apologise? She sold me a defective chicken. So, yes, once again, lots of laughter all around. So, we trade some gear. Emil gets a heavy crossbow from Ellie, as well as I think about 30 bolts, because he could do with the ranged firepower, he thinks, so that's good. And that is when we go to the inn. Toblin Stonehill sees us walking in, as does his wife. They hail us over, and he asks, "Oh, where have you been?" And Emil says, "Oh, we just went for a midnight stroll." And Eliza says, "Through the manor," and Emil responds by saying, "Well, there goes the element of mystery." The party starts ordering food. I order some cider, or rather some apple meat. I think it was like apple ale or something like that. And because there's an orchard in town, so I was wondering if they have cider. And I do actually like a good cider. I prefer berry cider though. Yes, and Tomlin asks Ellie, upon being asked to have a potato, he asks that, a cooked potato, as if you have them raw. Oh yes, for potato, bread and cheese. Emil takes the initiative to ask us about how we're all feeling. It's more than I signed up for. I think I couldn't really think. I'm not good at coming up with responses to Emil's questions. It's a shame, because I know he likes. Everyone likes the role play, but Emil's, I think, is the one who talks to me the most, and I can't dignify him with a response. So I just say, just imagine him saying, "I agree," and something along the lines of "fool adventurers and bones." So yeah, Shoria is concerned for Eliza and her darkness, and we will keep Eliza company while we have our long rest tonight and keep watch. Oh yes, Shoria says that we've got to be dubious of our friend who's possessed by smoke. I love that when she said possessed by smoke. Ellie has a pet mouse, apparently, by the name of Nipper. I said, I think rather unclearly, that is Nipper a giant miniaturized spaced hamster like Minsk and Boo from Baldur's Gate? And she said she didn't understand any of those words whatsoever. Then again, I did blurt it out because I'm a massive Baldur's Gate fanboy. I will probably shout one day, "Go for the eyes, Boo!" At some stage. So, yeah. Anyway, he bites. He bit Eliza's finger, and that's where he gets the name Nipper from. I don't believe he's a familiar. I believe he's just like a pet. So, yeah, go for the finger, Nipper. It doesn't quite work as well as go for the eyes, Boo, but still, never mind. Sildar joins us at last, and he's tired, but he says that the family's fine. I mean, their husband and father was slaughtered in public, and they've been held prisoner. But otherwise, yeah, hokey dory. Not too bad, as we Englishmen would say. He decides to go for a wash. We get our food, and Ellie goes for a wash as well after Sildar. With Sildar, I don't know. I'll have to ask that. Anyway, no, I think he's interested in Sister Grell. So anyway, yes. So she has a boiled potato that's now sufficiently cooled down. We fast forward to the afternoon. We're going to be selling stuff. We see the Dendras shop and do other things as well. I ask about Eliza if she still has the pearl, and I give off a Much ominous laugh. I say, Eliza, do you happen to have the pearl still? He says yes. Oh, good. I will need that later. Yes, so we managed to sell of the entire loot, I think. I've got it all written down here. It is, just want to be sure. I believe we sold 9 spears, 4 short swords, 4 long swords, 4 light crossbows, 1 heavy crossbow, and 6 quivers of 20 bolts each. The lion shield cost a lady, whose name I forget, is on the next page. Linene Greywind, I believe her name is. Gives us 95 gold in total. That's 15 gold pieces each. We could have either taken that or a 15% discount, but we don't seem as though we're going to be buying much from here in future. So we take the gold. And they sell weapons and armour, adventuring gear, but no potions, and nowhere really in Phandelver does. We're thinking about like buying a breastplate. 450 gold is too expensive. Shoria, I think... No, she doesn't buy any gear, but Ellie does. She buys herself a studded leather armour. And Shoria pays with party funds out of the Bra of Holding. I'm really glad that that's caught on. That's the one thing. Like, more proud am I of that than killing a king bugbear. More proud of that am I than... well, actually, that's the only thing I've done, really. Oh, no, shield bashing a bugbear into the trench for the Nothic to gobble on. Bra of Holding was the best thing that's ever come out of Garvel Grimhammer so far. So, anyway. So, yeah, she sells her old... So, Ellie sells her old armour for 3 gold for that bloody mess, because she hasn't cleaned her armour up. Also, as well, Emil did that, I think, as well, while Ellie was bathing. Yeah, so now we're going to spend a few more minutes just sort of doing RP stuff around the town. Emil decides that he's going to have his hammer, his warhammer engraved with the words "Old Faithful," I believe, along the shaft. I'm not sure, or the head. Anyway, on the flat of the hammer, on the smashy bit, do I have my Warhammer hammer? No, I don't. When I bought the Dawn of War 3 Collector's Edition, I haven't even played the sodding game yet. I owned the... it comes with like a mini hammer of like Captain Diomedes or whatever the character's name is, the main protagonist. Yeah, a Warhammer. And I could have used that to demonstrate. I haven't got it. Never mind. With the flat of the hammer, he has the brand of Moradin placed on it, and I thought that was a really nice touch, because I was hoping that he would do something like crafting, like to, I guess, make amends with his god, and I'm glad that he's done that. Well done. I don't like Moradin at all. Well, Garvel doesn't like Moradin at all, but yeah, I'm glad he's done something. I think Garvel would be proud of him for that. I don't have the price for that, but I think Emil paid for that out of his own pocket. And now we see the Widow Dendra. She's nervous until she sees us, and then she's a bit calmer, knowing that we are who we are. Emil says that there won't be any red brands bothering anymore. And we ask how she's going to get on now that her husband's passed away. Unfortunately, the Dendras don't have a source of income at the moment. And her lifestyle expenses are about 18 gold a month. Now, Emil offers 18 gold pieces for the month, or 20 gold pieces. And the Widow Dendra says, I can't accept this. I wouldn't be able to repay you. And so, therefore, I shove in, because this is something that I've wanted to do for a while. I take off the arms box from my backpack, and I present it, and I say that I insist that you take it from me. And I say words again, because I was speaking, I couldn't write it down, but I say that along the lines of, it would not do well for the family of the hero of Phandelver to not have any income, and to not be rewarded for their service to Phandelver. So I give her an arms box containing 30 gold pieces, and as well, I also say as well that perhaps Mr. Barthen can offer some work for the children. I'm sure he would appreciate an apprentice or two, just to help you on your feet. And so hopefully that's been taken into consideration. We also offer as well to bury Thel with his family. No, I don't mean we kill the family and bury them. No. I mean bury him behind his house. And as well, I might even be able to make a headstone for him with mould earth and mason's tools. We shall see. Around this point, we decide we're going to take a 10-minute break at 19 minutes past 9. This is where we sort of get into our group's RP. Oh yes, before we did though, our DM says that there's some stuff for next week's session. Oh no, it's not next week. Next week's Christmas. Ah! And yes, many hijinks ensued. And yes, Ellie said she would give anything to hear Michaela shout like that, a screech like that again. So yes. Anyway, break. Our characters are having their long rest now, and we're just getting ready to wind down for the session. Each of our characters, we decide to go to bed, and we decide we're going to have a well-deserved rest. I go to sleep first. I will have my watch afterwards. Garveld's humming himself to sleep to the tune of the intro of Metallica's "For Whom the Bell Tolls." Only the first bit, mind, because he forgets the rest of it. He can only do that first bit, otherwise, no, he don't know the rest of it. Which is not unlike me, to be honest. Garveld hums himself to sleep, and he wakes up in darkness, total darkness, in grey. His vision's foggy, but he rubs his eyes as clear as he can at his age. There is a light in the distance, and he approaches it, as doddery as he is. He notices in this light a pair of scales. I presume they're just floating in the air in this dome of light. And not only are they scales, they are Kellenvor scales, so a skeletal arm holds like that with the scales there. In the balance hangs an equilibrium. I don't know. I think that means they're both in the same bit, basically. In one of them, I believe on the left, is a ring of spell storing. The gift that I was granted to minister the dead in the Sword of the Ember Knights. See the session recap for that. I believe it was before session 7. And the other one, in the other bit, the other scale, is an amethyst, a topaz. Oh, sorry, a smoky topaz crystal with 3 amethysts surrounding it. So I didn't know this. My DM told me that that topaz is apparently the rare stone of Kellenvor, which I didn't know. But I recognise purple as one of his holy colours as well, so amethyst makes sense. And an inscription reads, "One will wear you down. One will lift you up." Now I wasn't quite sure of this. I was thinking, like, right, okay, is this a lesson in greed? Do I choose the rare stones and all the money that will provide, or do I choose the gift of Kellenvor? And I tried to ask for clarification, which is a bit hard because I had to use text comms at this point. And basically, then I eventually asked, like, the topaz, is it like a snow globe version of Kellenvor's throne, Kellenvor's spire? And our DM Michaela says, yeah, it's actually about right. So I choose it. I just put my hands on that, and as I take it, an energy releases from this crystal, and my right hand turns to fire, which is quite appropriate because that's my weapon hand, and the other one turns to stone, which is quite appropriate as well because that's where I'm left-handed as well in real life. So I also have my character's left-handed, and I'm particularly fond of shields as well, shield bashing, so I treat it as if the shield is my main weapon. And my other hand turns to stone, and the rest of my body starts to harden up and fill with this power. I close my eyes, ready to succumb to this, and silence follows. I wake up at Stonehill Inn, where I was resting, and the faint rays of sunlight are now trickling in through the window. Emil is not in his bed. The purpose of this dream was to grant me my feat Magic Initiate. I've chosen Create Bonfire and Mould Earth to burn and bury bodies respectively, and I've also gone for the... which spell was it? Protection from Evil and Good I have gone for. I decided against Identify because I think Shoria wanted that one because she's looking for a few new skills. Where was I? Oh yes, right. So while Emil is out, Ellie and Eliza are sat reading the tome that we found near the altar. There's a mess of arcane symbols, and they're both trying to find a connection. One of the symbol remains underlined. It appears as if there's some finality or conclusion to it, that this one seems to be the one. Ellie replicates this by weaving the symbol onto her gloves. Or embroidering it onto her gloves, rather. And after pricking her fingers enough times, the last stitch finally glows blue. The magic channels through the weave and into her, and she now is an arcane trickster rogue. Now, I think Ellie has been trying to study the arcane, because I've put down here something about never realising this was supposed to happen the way it did. So perhaps this is some sort of rite that she's gone through, or some study she's made, and that this is perhaps what she was looking for. I don't know yet. Shoria notices that I think this is in a dream as well, that she notices that she's or perhaps she's... no, I don't think she's dreaming. She might be outdoors keeping watch. Shoria notices an out-of-this-world bright flower. Under it is a word written, "You're welcome," signed T. In her hands is a yellow-paged book, glimmering and shining. The pages are clearly worn, used by possibly other people, dog-eared to no end, I'm sure. Symbols fade, save for a few. Others transform in this book. And it finally becomes illegible. Intelligible. No, it becomes readable. Try not to be smart, John. It becomes readable to Shoria. And now, one of the messages within the book says, "Has fun," signed T for Titania. Eliza tells the party to rest up. The hairs on her neck rise. She ignores it. But then she turns. She sees the dark mass floating behind her. The air ripples, pulsating. Suddenly, the gravity changes. Gravity is now centered on this thing, and it's pulling her as strongly as it can. Eliza digs her heels into the floorboards of the inn, and unfortunately, she's still being pulled. But eventually, just before she touches this entity, it blasts her back. The gravity hasn't so much as pushed her back like a wave of energy. It's more that it's stopped. It's returned to normal, and Eliza's former resistance is now pulling her back. It's sort of caught up to her. As Eliza looks up now at this shape, it's becoming familiar, and it's her shadow standing there in full 3D. She's not scared at all. She allows it to walk into her and disappears, and she feels a part of her now. She feels a dark energy within her that she can call upon at any time. I should explain, sorry. Yeah, Shoria is a warlock, pact of the tome now, warlock, and Eliza is now an Echo Knight fighter. Finally, we turn to Emil. Emil wanders Phandelver's beaten roads, sitting on the town green, the top of the hill. The only thing higher than this is Tresendar Manor, more a castle than anything. Off in the distance, he sees above the manor the sun rising, but to him it's not necessarily a beauteous sight. For him, he can see the memories of the Red Brands and those they have slain. But they're blown away by the breeze. A voice that tells him to stoke the fire within him, to incinerate that which troubles you. Emil responds by saying that when you spoke to me last, I thought it was a dream. I thought it was a dream. And the voice responds mightily, then feel the strength of my will. He feels the sun on his arms, the fires of the forge channel through his heart. Another gust of wind blows by. I challenge ye to achieve greatness in both your name and mine. I don't know how to pronounce these names, and I apologise if I've got them wrong. I don't know if these are things that Emil has made up, or if they actually do exist in D&D, in which case I need to do my reading, don't I? From the grim halls of Gorgrim to the something of Isagar, I swear it. The wind buffets against him, and it ceases. Emil looks to the sunrise, and for the first time in a long time, he doesn't hear the screaming. And that is where we end our session with Emil becoming an Oath of Devotion Paladin. I have absolutely loved what our DM has done for us. I really do. It has been a phenomenal experience, this session, as indeed they always are. Not to downplay the efforts that our DM Drax had done for us, but yeah, this has been an incredible experience, and I'm really glad that we've all got something out of it. We've all got some RP out of it. We've all done something. Surely I would like to have done some more dice rolling and whatnot, said a few more things as well, but I think we'll get used to that. We are noticing as well that we're not waiting so long for the sake of politeness and things like that. This is something I spoke to Ellie's player about how we tend to have these really long pauses waiting for someone else to talk and we don't want to interrupt. But we're getting better for it, and I think we're getting much more comfortable with each other and our abilities and covering each other's strengths and weaknesses and things like that. Yeah, so it's been a phenomenal experience. I've managed to get loads of stuff that I wanted to do done. I was really worried that I wouldn't be able to give a service to Thal'Dendra, Berium, anything like that. I was wondering that we might just be going straight on to the next quest. Emil might not be able to do his RP for his oath or anything like that. yeah, I was really glad that everyone managed to get something done and spend a bit more time enjoying the game. So, yeah, thank you ever so much for watching. Thank you for being our DM, Michaela. Thank you to Group 89 for being Group 89. I wish everyone in the group a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and all the other sort of festivals between, beyond, and whatever between them. So, anyway, sorry, I'm blathering. So, yes, right, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, and may your dice, and I hope you do get some new dice for Christmas, forever remain clacky. It's for now.
Yes, Santa was wrecked, a total mess, when he dropped in out of the blue. In a battered old sled full of wacky weed and 6 bent reindeer too. Now you might think that I'm making this up, but you can think what you like. Santa was stoned at Christmas time and